Okay, attempt 2. This is, I guess, the second part of the video I'm going to be sending you in terms of talking about ham radio and whatnot. Ham radio licensing right now has 3 different levels. There's the technician, which is what I have, and also I believe what Mike has. Then there's the general, which is what most of the folks have. The technician lets you have 2 meter, 70 millimeter or 70 centimeter, and like 1.25 meter. And that's all those little handheld radios. And if you know, what do you call it, Morse code, or what they call CW, that you can actually use some of the longer bands, like 6 meter and whatnot. But you can only use it if you're doing Morse code. Then if you get to the general level, that gives you 95% of the spectrum access. I think that's what most folks have. You know, all your long wave, short wave, and all the other stuff that people talk about. Then there's the extra license, and I don't really know what that gives you. If you look at USNER doc, US Navy Emergency Room doc, he does an awful lot of stuff on. He's got the general license, and he talks with the folks up on the space station and stuff like that. As far as getting your licenses, it's like $15. You study a little book like this. This is the ARRL, which is the American Radio League or Radio Relay League. They're the folks that they're not legal. I don't think they're a legal organization, but they're kind of like the American Medical Association. They self-regulate, and they're the ones that administer all the tests. Each class of test has a pool of 400 questions, and they give you 35 of them. You have to get, I believe, 70% right on it. You can look up the tests online, or you can look up the questions online. If you want to you can memorize them. The first one, the technician test, for me was pretty easy. It covers basics of electronics. You know, what is a resistor, what is a capacitor, what is an inductor, what are the units that they use for farads, henries, ohms, and such. They test you on Ohm's law, which is P equals EI, E equals IR. And then also you have to know the different prefixes like kilo, milli, micro, nano, pico, and all that stuff. You know, and be able to convert between them. That was the easy part for me. Then there's other stuff, which is the basics of radio. How does it work? They also have to do conversion between frequency and wavelength. But you know, what is a radio wave? How does it work? How does it propagate in the atmosphere? Not too hard. They have a lot of procedural stuff, like if you're saying CQ, 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 this is Kilo Delta 5, X-ray Mike 1, or whatever. You know, how do you procedurally talk to somebody? What's the proper process for it? What's the division of the different frequencies and wavelengths? I'm not good with that. They also talk about what are the various laws. A lot of it's not hard, and like I said, you just pick up the book. I'd actually go buy a new one. I bought this used. I'm regretting it. They also have one for the general. Without doing any studying, I was able to get about 60 to 70% on the online tests for that. So I actually probably didn't even need to study, and I could have passed it, but didn't want to take a chance. This one for the general, it goes into a lot more detail. I'm sitting about 55% on that, and so I need to do a lot more work. But at any rate, when you go in, you pay, I think it's $15, and you take your you take your technician test. If you pass that for this, with no additional cost, you can then sit down and take your general. And if you pass that, theoretically, you could also go on and take your extra. The only limitation there is your knowledge and also how much time you have with the folks that are administering the test. But the technician isn't hard, and for doing just your little handheld stuff, that's the only license you need. Morse code is not required, although there's a company called CodeQuick, or you can Google it. I don't have the links here with me, but they teach you how to do Morse code if you're interested. I actually am starting to learn it a little bit, although I still suck. Instead of having to remember that da or the dash is T, it uses mnemonics. Like it'll hold up this picture of a little ghost over a gravesite, and it'll have this text that says, "Why did I die?" And it turns out that the code, or the Morse code for why, is da di da da. Why did I die? And he uses all these kinds of things, like tall is the letter T. E for eek is dot, is for the letter E. It's just a lot of mnemonics like that. Makes it a lot easier to remember. And W is da, da, or baby wants is wah, wah. It's just a bunch of stupid crap like that. But don't know it, but you can remember it pretty easily, and it actually works pretty well. But at any rate, taking your technician isn't hard, and if you've got a technical background and basically based on your understanding of batteries, I would assume you're probably better off than I am on it. Pick up the book for $25, spend a week or maybe two at most just reading through the chapters once, take the little tests that they have inside of there, or like I said, you can look them up online. You look up ham technician test, and there's practice tests there. They'll give you what your grade was, what tests or what questions you missed, along with the right answer. If you wanted to, you could technically just do it that way, just memorizing the answers. It's pretty easy. The general test is a lot more in depth. There's a lot you have to understand what circuits do. You can't just say, well, that's a transistor. No, you just have to know that's a field effect transistor. What's it doing and why is it there? A lot more stuff in it, as well as a lot more understanding of the various frequency and wavelength bands. And so I'm still struggling with that one. I was originally going to try to take it in January, but life got too busy and I didn't even take the time to really study. So anyway, just thought that since I'd taken the test in October, I thought it might be a little more useful to have some information about what it takes to get the license now, how hard it is. Anyway, later.